Hello guys, my name is Lars Stender. I'm a writer from Denmark who specializes in science fiction and fantasy books. I'm here today to read from my fantasy novel Mandigo and the Hell House. And if you want to know more about me and my books, please follow me on Facebook. Mandigo and the Hell House, Chapter 61. The glow from steel shine split the darkness like the glow of the full moon that emerges from behind a drifting cloud in the night. Mandigo looked quickly around. Lady Arundel and Mortarton were on their hands and knees next to him. Lady Arundel's glow had disappeared for the time being, but it seemed that the light from steel shine was giving her sustenance and making her stronger. Greta lay on her back a little further away. "Greta!" Mandigo exclaimed worriedly. I was just about to run to her when there came a deep, bone-trampling roar from somewhere in the air above him. It was immediately followed by an electric crackle that quickly grew in intensity and strength until it turned into a pulsating, nerve-wracking whine. A blinding light exploded out of nowhere and lit up the whole underground chamber. The source of the light was right in the middle of the air, at the very spot where Lady Arundel had been kept prisoner. It began as a teeny tiny white hot dot that in a matter of few seconds grew into a burning sphere the size of a beach ball. The light and heat from it was so intense that Mandigo fell back and was obliged to shield his eyes and face with his arm. "It's the Lord of Shadows! He's on his way!" Lady Arundel warned. "Yes, he is coming," a gravelly voice repeated from the edge of the ditch in the room's floor. Mandigo jerked his head around when he heard his uncle's voice. Apparently, Mateo had come out of the battle between him and Greta as a winner, even though he looked like he had been through a threshing machine. He was now standing at the edge of the ditch in the floor, with his legs slightly parted and his arms hanging by his sides, and a lopsided, haughty smile on his lips. "The Lord of Shadows is coming. Nothing can stop him now. The portal to the dark dimension is opening. Soon this world will be lying at his feet, and you will be swallowed up." As though emphasizing Martello's words, the glowing sphere changed its appearance. It grew tenfold in the wink of an eye, and then started to practically turn itself inside out. A dark spot emerged in the middle of the sphere and began to expand. No light escaped the dark spot, and it sent out a chill and a wickedness that got the tiny hairs on Mandigo's neck to rise and his stomach to turn. His crimson scars began to burn, and his red left eye blazed like a burning ruby. Mortero laughed. "Can you feel the call of your master, dear nephew? Can you feel him? Can you feel how he's using you as his threshold to this world?" Mandigo bared his teeth in a wolf-like snarl. The black spot in the middle of the sphere continued to grow, and he could feel a powerful force form in the center of the sphere, trying to pull him into the darkness. A suffocating chill spread through his inside, and the crushing evil inside the dark center threatened to bend and crush his very soul to the unrecognizability. He looked desperately for means of escape, and was shaken to the core when he saw how the shadows in the corners of the big chamber began to take on lives of their own, turning into hideous, quivering, demonic forms that darted up and down the floors and ceiling. They howled and salivated and bared their teeth and claws. Some of the demons darted off through the main tunnel to the surface, and bloodstone, while others gathered in small clusters around Lady Arundel, Mandigo, Mortarton, and a liveless Greta, and waited. "There's no longer a way out," Mortero said. "Either you kill Lady Arundel and give her to the Lord of Shadows, or he will take you himself. The outcome will be the same. He is coming, and he won't let anyone or anything stop him this time." And Diego could feel that the pull from the black portal in front of him was growing. He tried to resist it with all his might, but he could feel his legs giving way. Come to me. Come to me, keeper of the dark portal. He heard a thundering voice in his head say, Come to me, keeper. Feed me. Give me sustenance, and you'll be mine. Mandigo screamed in frustration and grasped the handle of Steelshine. He refused to give in. He would not let the Lord of Shadows win. There had to be a way out. Suddenly, he remembered something Lady Arundel had told him. You can never eradicate the darkness, but in order for it to take the place of light, there must be no light. The light must either disappear or be sacrificed. Mandigo also remembered something he had picked up in one of Matero's books. Light could also be considered energy. Energy was needed in order to make an interdimensional portal. The energy could be either magical or man-made, or Lady Arundel had also said that it was the humans who back in their day had built a machine that could open portals to other worlds. Mandigo didn't know how much about machines, but he knew, for example, that his stepfather's mill couldn't run without wind. The wind was what created energy for the mill. A bonfire couldn't burn without firewood. Mandigo caught sight of two big circular openings on each side of the chamber. He noticed that their tunnel-like insides were lit up by a bizarre, pulsating light, and that they emitted a humming noise that was so low that it could barely be heard, and yet it was so nerve-wracking that it made his spine vibrate. He also noticed that the rings of metal that encircled the openings of the two tunnels every now and then emitted a sharp flash. Energy. A strange calmness settled over Mandigo's face. Once he made his decision, he was filled with a new kind of strength and clarity. He lifted his father's sword and felt his gift flow into its blade that shone like a newborn star. He peered at Motero. Motero looked at him and understood. Don't do it, Mandigo. I'm warning you. Mandigo merely smiled. Motero roared wildly and struck with all the power of his dark gift. The air between him and Mandigo sizzled with raw magic. However, Motero's mystic lightning bounced off a gift shield that Mandigo had formed with the speed of thought. Before Motero realized what had happened, Mandigo let his own gift flow in the opposite direction, out through his right arm and through the blade of his sword, Steelshine, which he aimed directly at Motero. An immense blue-white lightning darted along the sword's blade and slashed through the Motero with a cataclysmic force, so that for a brief moment every single bone in his weakened body was visible before it collapsed into a smoldering pile of rags. However, rather than celebrating his victory, Mandigo had already moved on. In 3 leaps he reached the big ditch in the floor. It turned out to be filled with the shadow demons, whose limbs twisted and turned and greedily reached out to him. But Mandigo didn't allow himself to become afraid. He jumped down into the writhing mass as he dished out death and mayhem with his sword. The demons were slain on the spot, and Mandigo swiftly carved a path to the ring that encircled one of the tunnel openings. In one flowing motion, he struck at the ring as he continued to let his gift flow through the shining blade. The sword cut through the metal as it made butter, and got a proper foothold once it had sunk deeply into the underlying rock wall. Blinding light and lightning jumped out of both ends of the tunnel, and hammered into the portal in the middle of the chamber. Deafening thunderclaps shook the bedrocks, making parts of the ceiling and walls fly through the air. Mandigo was hurled back as if hit by a runaway bull. He crashed to the floor on the opposite side of the ditch, and all the air was knocked out of his lungs. End of chapter.